Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button and keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. Alright folks, here we are after market close on Friday, September 22nd. We're going to take a look at Ebet today. So I've had Ebet on my radar for a few days, maybe a couple weeks or so, and just coming in to take a first crack at it today. You see a nice motion here. Almost wondering if we're going to see something cup and handle-ish. I don't know, but I'd sort of be on the lookout for that. But in any case, let's start here on the Webull chart, put in some support and resistance levels, and then flip over to the Think or Swim study and see where Ebet is situated there. All right, so I was checking out this gap down here that it left when it moved up 109% on August 16th. It appears to have filled that gap already, so I'm not concerned about that. Doesn't mean that it can't come down there again, obviously, but it wouldn't be in order to fill the gap at least. So there's not going to be a ton of previous price action to go off of, but let me see if I can get all that I want in here. Okay, so knowing that this puppy can move really strongly, I like to plot a course up above 10 cents and then plot a course down to about 4 cents range, and this way hopefully we can get at least a bunch of action of whatever the next move or moves are before it exhausts the levels that we put in. So I have one just shy of 10 cents there. That will probably act just as a psychological 10-cent level, and then 10.5 looks like a good level to me. So that'll be our levels to the upside. Below 10, I see 9.42, and these are going to sound very close in. And pennies wise they are, but percentage wise they will be, pretty good percentage gains and losses in between them. Let me see if I want to change this a little bit. No, I'll leave it there. Okay, 883 below that. There are some decent levels to call out here, so that's solid. Now I do see a bit of either an uncertain range or a gap between 883 and 817. So if it does get some motion up through that level, maybe it has some smooth sailing in between those levels. I don't know, have to wait and see, but just something to maybe make note of. 785, we get a level there. Get a level here. 733. There's going to be a lot of levels, but then we're going to zoom in and we'll see how it sort of makes sense on a intraday time frame. So hold tight. It will make sense in a moment. 653. We're getting there. 615. And so those are going to be the closest in levels to the downside, based on where the price is at currently. Let's see, what do we got here? Yep. Okay, are we in the fives yet? Okay, that's 5. Okay, so I'm gonna pause there, and let me put this here and then just delete it. Okay, so let's zoom in. So we have all these levels, and looks kind of cluttered, kind of messy on the chart like this. But if we zoom into the intraday, we can see. So if we had these levels on the chart as we were coming into the day today, we would have seen coming in pre-market. It's trying to base over this 733 level. Quick dip down, bounces right off that 685, comes up, tries to overtake 785, but it can't. And then very quickly tries to base again over 733 and loses that at open. What does it do? It accumulates right around 685, but then it loses it, and then it accumulates right underneath 653 until it flips that to support, reconfirms the support, tries to make a run at 685, and that's sort of short-lived, and then sort of peters out throughout the rest of the day and into close, slips that 653 level again. So you see how these levels play out in a distinguished fashion on the intraday time frame. So yes, looks kind of cluttered on the daily, but you zoom in and try to get a sense of what's happening pre-market, get a sense of what's happening intraday, then it sort of shows you where things are accumulating at those levels. Flipping over to the think or swim. So this is on the hour time frame. So just keep in mind on the Webull, we put those levels in on the daily and then we zoomed into the 10. This is going to give us a view of what's happening on the hour time frame. So getting in here, it's spent obviously with a bunch of these big moves some time out of the channel. So what we look for when it moves out of the channel is for it to revert back to the mid-range, this bright blue line in the middle of the channel. And we see it did that here, pinned itself, and then it got another nice push. See, TTM squeeze indicator was also triggering here as it was moving sideways, and then when it fired, it had a large push up, and then once again drew down to the mid-range and was able to ride that as support, bumping off of the upper bound of the channel a few times. Now, coming into today, it was slipping the mid-range of the channel, starting to treat it as resistance. So obviously, that's a first indication that maybe there is a larger retracement afoot here, and maybe it's going to come down and sort of need to test these, closer into 6 cents levels that we have on the chart now, to see if it's going to hold those. So is it going to hold 615? Is it going to hold 553? Which is a pretty big percentage change. You see a fraction of a penny here was almost 11%. So that's why I say don't worry about the pennies themselves. Think about the percent. Certainly not a strong day today, and the only thing that concerns me is when it was sort of moving to the upside and had a clear continued bullish trajectory, it was continuously shrugging off the mid-range of the channel and holding that pretty strongly. And then once it slipped it here, it spent the day underneath it. Now, it didn't have to come down and test the lower bound of the channel, so that may be, there may be something to that. But what I'm going to be most interested in going into Monday is what does it do with the mid-range of this channel? Is it able to regain support, sort of like we saw here, even though it lost it again, but is it able to make a move like this? Because clearly it's below it right now. So is it able to pop up above, clearly confirm support? And if it is it then able to make a run at the upper bound of the channel? That would give me some confidence that maybe there's some bullish momentum kicking back in, especially if it makes a run at the upper bound of the channel and then uses this green cloud as support, as opposed to having to come down and use the mid-range as support. That's sort of what I'm looking for. If it doesn't, then maybe we're looking for something where it pushes toward the lower bound of the channel, maybe even out the lower bound of the channel, which at that point then, same idea. We look for it to come back into the channel and retest the mid-range. So that gives you, potentially a counter trend opportunity if you can spot it. The other thing I would note is this gray cloud right here is the 180 to 200 EMA cloud. That's coming in and converging nicely with the lower bound of the channel. So the question will be, if it comes down to there, does that 180 to 200 EMA cloud provide significant support? It may. We're just gonna have to see what the price action does when it reaches there. This isn't a prediction video. This is a, hey, here's some things to pay attention and see what the price does when it gets there, because you just don't know. If it holds support there, then it might give it enough oomph to kick it back, at least to the mid-range of the channel. It still could shrug back off again. If it slips that pretty easily, then that may tell us that this cloud didn't offer much support at all. But the point being that if it's able to surge back toward it, it may not offer much resistance if it starts to counter trend and move back up. So those are the things that I'm looking for. Quite an interesting position in which Ebet finds itself at the moment. All right, folks, I hope that you had a good trading week and that you enjoy your weekend. As always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.